there, you are listening to Two Grown-Ups and a Mouse. This is episode number 6. On today's podcast, we will be discussing Wind and Waves at Disney's Vero Beach, Toy Story Land, and the movie Infinity War.
Everything Disney, in and out of the house. Two grown-ups and a mouse.
Hi there, I'm AJ.
I'm Andrew.
And you are listening to Two Grown-Ups and a Mouse. This is episode number 6.
6.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We said it 3 times in a row. That's not good.
6. Now I said it 4.
Okay.
Lots and lots of times. You know what else we say lots and lots of times?
Please subscribe.
Exactly. You read my mind. Are you clairvoyant?
I think so.
Oh. If you are new to the show, please subscribe. If you are not new to the show, thank you for subscribing. Hopefully you've been listening to the first few episodes and you liked it and you told your friends and they're subscribing and they're listening and they're following us on social media.
And subscribing.
Did you know that you could follow us on social media?
I did not.
Are you following us on social media?
I am not.
I am.
Oh.
You should be.
Well, I want to see what it looks like when you don't, so. That's my excuse.
TwoGrownUpsAndAMouse.com or on social media. Two Grown-Ups and a Mouse.
Yep.
Facebook.
Instagram.
Twitter.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh. We should get into the show then.
Okay.
You know what I want to talk about?
Disney?
Always.
Oh, okay.
I always want to talk about Disney.
All right.
That's one of the few things you like to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
People that know you personally are like, oh my God, this is the most I've heard Andrew talk in years.
Yeah, they know. If it's Disney, more than nothing.
Yeah, pretty
Otherwise,
much.
leave me alone.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
But I want to talk about Disney Vero Beach, Wind and Waves
Yep.
restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
We like it.
We do.
We like a lot of Disney stuff.
Unfortunately.
Fortunately, unfortunately.
Exactly.
But it is a restaurant. It's not a signature dining restaurant. I wouldn't classify it as signature.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between.
But it's kind of on par with Old Key West.
Yeah. You could probably it's similar to any other Disney Vacation Club sit down restaurant.
Oh yeah, that's right. Old Key West is a vacation club.
Right. So
Olivia's, that's the name of it.
Right.
Like, I'm drawing a blank, which was also really good, but yeah, or Coronado Springs isn't
no.
a vacation club, but like Mayan Grill. You know, it's more expensive than a quick service restaurant.
Sure.
But not as expensive as Victorian Albert's or California Grill or...
Right, it's not, I always judge it by seeing how much they charge for a steak, so at a signature restaurant, you're paying usually $50 a plate for a steak. At a non-signature, you're paying 30 to 40, so...
Right. So it's a nice little restaurant. It's casual.
Yep.
It's located at Disney Vero Beach.
That's right.
Which is on the beach.
In Vero Beach.
In Vero Beach.
Florida.
It's one of the few things in Vero Beach.
Yeah, there's not much there.
It's actually kind of funny because we passed it the first time we went there, didn't we?
We did.
Because we weren't expecting it to be in such a secluded area.
Well, that and they don't really have a sign out. You know, you're used to when you're driving to Disney, there's signs everywhere. And when you're driving to Disney Vero Beach, it's just a little tiny sign on the side of the road.
It's pushed a little bit further back. It's not
that too.
It's not right on the corner or anything. It's very elegant looking there. If you have not been to Disney Vero Beach, you should definitely stop by there. We go there often to eat. We've stayed at the resort once.
Yep.
And that was really nice. But we'll talk about the resort in another podcast. Right now, we're going to focus on Wind and Waves. So the first time we went to Wind and Waves was about 2 years ago.
Well, it wasn't even called Wind and Waves then.
No, wait.
It was called Shutters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And technically it wasn't even Shutters because it was a hallway.
Right. No, I forgot because there's a Shutters at one of the resorts in Orlando.
Right.
At one of the Disney resorts in Orlando. So it was kind of confusing. It was like, oh, they're both called Shutters. Plus, if you take a Disney cruise and you get their picture package. The company is called Shutters.
Right. There's a lot of Shutters.
They like to confuse us. But yeah, so the first time we went, it was called Shutters. They were undergoing renovations, and we sat outside the bathroom.
Pretty much.
And yet we went back, and we keep going back.
Yep.
Because the food was good, the ambiance was good, the service is good.
Sure.
A little bit of Disney magic.
Well, we should also explain that when we drive back from Orlando, we don't like taking the turnpike all the time because there's been quite a bit of traffic lately on the turnpike, and you end up with you're driving through the middle of nowhere on a 2-lane road, and there's a lot of traffic, and so we basically head east and then go down the beach, and sometimes we can stop and go to Kennedy, or we'll stop at the port and watch the boats go by, or just keep on going south to Disney Vero Beach. And it adds maybe an hour to our trip when we go that way, but it's a nice distraction for a drive.
Well, we're usually going to want to stop and get something to eat regardless.
Right.
And we could go to a McDonald's or another rest stop and get food there.
Right.
But instead, we opt to go someplace that we know what the quality is going to be like. We know that we're going to be welcome there. And we know that there's other options if they're a little bit too busy to give us a seating. There are other restaurants that we can eat at inside of the resort. So it's always a nice little pit stop on the way home. But we went there recently. And what they've been doing, because I did talk to the cast member, our server, who has also become our friend, because we've been going there, as you said, on our trips home. So we see her more often and more often. So we've become very friendly with her. And she said that what they've been doing now is every day they will have a special beef, some beef choice entree. They will have a fish special.
Right.
And they will also have a flatbread special.
Right.
And I had asked her that at the restaurant because it was very unusual. I look at the menu and flatbread is on there under the appetizers and it says market price.
Right.
And I just thought that was so unusual because I'm used to seeing lobster on the menu and that's market price, or, various fish items being market price. That was probably the first time I've seen a flatbread at market price.
Well, it's also the first time I think I've seen a beef because it said the same thing under we expect it with fish because, the general idea is that the chef would stop at whatever fish market, buy whatever fish, and then they would adjust the price accordingly to what they're paying. You don't do that with, there's no fresh caught beef or anything like that. Right. And there's certainly no fresh caught flatbread.
Oh, but why? It's a new thing. So, look at that flatbread swimming along.
So it makes sense in the sense that, maybe today they're going to make a lobster flatbread and tomorrow they'll make a chicken flatbread. So they're going to adjust the price. So it makes sense when you start thinking about it. But when you first see it, you're like, what? Personally,
maybe I would have worded it, please ask server. Or changes daily, something, but market price, it was kind of unusual, but nothing wrong with it. It was just kind of amusing.
Yeah.
And I didn't look at the menu too closely this time because I had told her that we would be coming in. She did tell me they had a beef special, and she had told me that she believed it was going to be filet, which she knows that we both enjoy. So when we got there and I said, were you right? Is it the filet? And she said, yes. I said, cool. I'm getting that. Yeah. So I didn't really look at the menu to see what the changes were.
I didn't see too many, at least on the side. I don't pay attention to the fish side. I didn't really look at the appetizers. I saw some of I saw the crab cakes that you got were on there. I don't remember. I don't know if it had your
the corn chowder. It did.
Yeah, it had the soups. I don't remember. I don't remember if I saw the your pizza and or your chicken and apples flatbread. Well, there's still a couple flatbreads on there.
No, I was going to say because that might be one that they only offer on special days. But I did look at the appetizers on one of our first trips there because it was a while ago. Even if it wasn't one of our first trips, it was definitely a trip, quite some time ago, within the past 2 years, I had gotten the crab cakes, and they weren't bad, but they weren't to my liking.
Sure.
I don't even remember what it was that I wasn't fond of, but and I enjoy crab cakes very much.
Right.
But I never really had that desire to go ahead and order them again because, it was okay and I just wasn't that interested. But for some reason, I saw it on the menu when we went this last time and I said, I haven't had this in a while. Let me give it another try.
Sure.
They were really good.
Well, they looked like they were well prepared.
They were traditional crab cakes. There were 2 of them. They were fried. I don't think they were deep fried. I think they were pan fried. They had a little bit of a crispy edge.
They look pan fried.
But not, really greasy or anything. And they served it on some type of remoulade sauce. At first it looked almost like mayonnaise. It had a little bit of a lighter color to it. Remoulade is...
It almost looked like a ranch kind of dressing.
Exactly. It was a very light sauce on the underside of it. And of course, the garnish, they had, 2 pieces of leaf lettuce on it and some cherry tomatoes cut into tiny little pieces.
Right.
But when I saw the sauce, I'm presuming it was a remoulade sauce, I thought that I might not care for it, but I ended up using all the sauce they gave. And it was nice because it was underneath it, but it wasn't covering it. So if you didn't want the sauce, you could easily move the crab cakes away from there. But it was really an enjoyable appetizer. I'm glad I gave it another try.
Sure.
And of course, you didn't order an appetizer, but you had an appetizer.
Well, I had lots of bread.
They have good bread.
They do. It's not bad. The cornbread is better than the Hawaiian roll, but the Hawaiian roll tasted just like a Hawaiian roll, so...
Well, it was, at least there was some variety. It was a cornbread muffin, very small cornbread muffins, and a Hawaiian roll. They give you a basket. They'll bring you more. In fact, she did bring us more without us even having asked for it.
Right.
And they do give you butter, and they give you the option of salting it. I prefer unsalted.
Right.
But they do have 3 distinct types of salts that they can put on it for you.
Yeah.
Or like I do, and salt-free.
You can always go whatever salt's in the butter already.
Exactly, yeah. It's probably not salt-free, but no additional salt.
But the Hawaiian, the 2 salts I always get is the Himalayan, which is the pink salt. And then there's a Hawaiian salt, which is that black flaky one. And both of them are mild. They're not, it's kind of, it's strange talking about salt in that way, but it's not nearly as salty as like a table salt.
Right.
Or
salted isn't salty. What?
Yeah, it's less salty salt.
Yeah.
But both of those are much more mild, so they can add a little kick if you like it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So.
Yeah, someone might have dipped his knife into someone else's butter.
Yeah, I did because I'd used up all mine. Except for all the really salty parts.
But it was good.
Yeah.
So that was your appetizer, was the bread. Of course, I did indulge in the bread as well, and I did enjoy it as well. And then we both got the filet.
Yep.
Now, I am a very picky eater. I eat a lot, but I'm still pretty picky.
Yeah.
We used to think you were picky, but we're come to realize that I might be more picky.
Yeah, you're at least as picky, if not more picky.
Yeah. Well,
just about different things.
Correct.
Right.
We both prefer plain. As a general rule, we're not huge into sauces. We're not huge into frou-frou, for lack of a better term.
Well, it depends on the restaurant and who's making it. When we go to Victoria and Albert's, I want to eat it just as the chef designed it, for lack of a better term, because he put it all together for a very specific reason. At pretty much any other restaurant, they're just adding a sauce for garnish or a little decoration or maybe a little hint of something else, but
No,
it's
they're
not
going.
it's not as carefully put together.
They're going for a flavor, but sometimes when it comes to the side dishes, they might be going more for a color, for presentation. It
could be that.
At
And
one
then,
of those restaurants.
And they're not as careful with putting it together. So sometimes you get just the right amount of sauce. Sometimes you get too little sauce. Sometimes it's drowning in sauce. Because as it's working its way down in the kitchen, the guy doing the sauce may or may not be very careful. Whereas, when you're at a Victorian Albert's or you're at Remy on a cruise, that's very, very precise.
Right.
And it's a whole different level of restaurant, of course. So.
Right. No, but this is a great restaurant, and their filet came with a Brussels sprout and spinach slaw. I believe it's what you told us.
Yeah, it was something weird like that.
It was something that, to me, didn't sound as appetizing as I would prefer. Who knows? It might have been really delicious, and I missed out on it. But we've been there so often. She knows me so well. I had said, yeah, mashed potatoes are fine. And she said, well, you get another vegetable. Do you want broccoli? Or I think she said, whatever my other options were. I said, yeah, broccoli's fine. She knows me so well. They brought out my steak with the sauce on the side and the potatoes in a separate container and the broccoli in a separate container.
Yeah.
I love that. That's my favorite kind of meal where nothing is touching.
Well, you have that as well with the...
Yeah, I'm a little
pickiness.
OCD. Just a little OCD. Okay, I lie. I'm a lot OCD. But that's what's great about Disney is when you have these idiosyncrasies, if you ask them, can you please plate it separately because I don't prefer my food to touch,
Right.
they'll do that for you.
Sure.
Of course, I didn't even have to ask her. She remembered, which was fantastic, but
Right.
that was an added bonus. But you opted to get your filet, because we both have fillets, with the setup of a different beef dish.
I think it was a different beef dish.
Yeah,
One of the other dishes.
It was another dish on the menu, and you said, yeah, you can do it the way this is prepared.
Right.
So you also had mashed potatoes, and you had string beans? Green beans,
yeah.
string beans? I can never tell the difference.
They were string beans and roasted carrots.
Oh, that's right, because I didn't even notice the carrots. They were a little on the black side.
They were very roasted.
They were extremely roasted carrots.
Yes.
They forgot to leave out the word extremely on the description. But you enjoyed your meal as well.
Yeah.
And then after we finished our main dishes, we actually called the manager because we had seen him walking around. We called him over and we complimented our server and also complimented the hostess, one of the two hostesses at the front. I said both of them are very nice. The other girl up there, very nice. But this one in particular, because we do go there as often as we do, she remembered us. She was very friendly. And it was just that little extra magic. Right. So I just wanted to make sure that he was aware of it.
Of course.
Then we started talking to him about Toy Story Land, which we're going to be talking about momentarily.
Yep.
And that gave us a little bit of time to digest.
Right.
So we did decide to go ahead and get a dessert. They have a trio there, and it's 3 little mini mason jars. In one is a chocolate pudding, which now they salted it, which is not my favorite thing, chocolate and salt. So it's a chocolate pudding is one option. The other that it comes with is strawberry shortcake.
Yep.
And the third is a fruit-topped cheesecake.
Right.
We've had the cheesecake, and it's good.
Yeah.
But I prefer the strawberry shortcake, so we opted to get 2 strawberry shortcakes and 1 pudding.
Right.
And they're great because they are the mini mason jars, so they're just big enough, especially when you split it between 2 people, big enough to give you that sweetness that you might want after a meal without that, oh my God, I'm so full.
Right.
Because they do carry that chocolate ganache cheesecake in their in the resort. You can get that at pretty much any of the restaurants, I believe.
Yeah, I think they have that. And then there's a creme brulee. And
The
there's
creme
a couple,
brulee is a citrus creme brulee.
right.
And I love creme brulee, but I'm not a fan of citrus. So I did try the creme brulee once and didn't care for it because of the citrus. However, if you like key lime pie or citrus in general, then
Right.
you may very well enjoy it. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just creme brulee to me should be sweet, just sweet. And this was sweet and tart.
Right.
So I haven't gotten that again because of that reason.
Sure.
But we did get that dessert.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'll get coffee or espresso or cappuccino. You know, I'll opt for some beverage to go with it. But we went with the French press this time because it's a little bit of a stronger brew.
Right.
I liked it.
Well, though, yeah, any pressed pot coffee should be more flavorful than regular coffee. You liked it. I wasn't that impressed. It was just a normal pot of coffee, basically, at the end of the day.
It was a little bit stronger than most coffees that we get.
Maybe, but it wasn't the perfect pot of coffee, so...
Wah, wah.
Tiffin still has that for me.
We're going to have to go back to Tiffin's and see if it can live up to your memory.
Yeah, it probably won't.
We should just go there and get dessert, maybe. Instead of getting a full meal, we'll go in and get the bread service
There you go.
and dessert. Kind of like there's a restaurant, I believe it's a national chain, the Melting Pot.
Right.
And I always say we should just go there and get the cheese fondue, the beginning, the cheese fondue, and the dessert.
Sure.
You don't even need the meat in the center. It's more than enough calories in the appetizer and the dessert. We can do the same thing at Tiffin's. Just go in there, get the bread appetizer, and get dessert. We don't have to order a main course.
Right. Well,
Just to try the coffee. But the coffee at Wyndham Waves, the French press pot coffee a decent cup of coffee, even if it wasn't your favorite, but that's okay.
oh, it certainly wasn't bad.
Right. It just wasn't good.
It wasn't like a cup of Starbucks or something like that. But
You just offended half our audience. Oh my God, he's talking poorly of Starbucks.
yeah, but the other half is going, yep.
I like the convenience.
Well,
You know, I like that I have the app on my phone and that they have the Starbucks inside of the parks and I just use the app.
sure.
So it's already budgeted.
And their flavored coffees are good. Just, I mean, you're putting so much other stuff in it, it's hardly a cup of coffee anymore. It's,
Well.
But
to sum up Wyndham Waves, we went there again.
Mm-hmm.
But we will be back there soon.
sure.
It's a nice little day trip for us. We don't always have to go. In fact, that's what we did this past trip.
Right.
We didn't go to Walt Disney World. The next Disney World trip we have scheduled will be a tad longer than most of our other trips.
Right.
So we decided for the next few outings, instead of going to Walt Disney World, getting the resort, paying, for whatever food and whatnot inside of the parks, just to get that touch of Disney magic, we would go to Disney Vero Beach, get dinner, come home.
Right.
And it wasn't too bad.
Well,
So we'll do it again.
yeah,
Actually, we did it once before.
we did. We did do it one other time.
Right.
Just for,
Just for the fun of it.
yep, pretty much.
So that is our review description of Wyndham Waves. If you do get a chance to go to Disney Vero Beach, do it.
Yeah.
If you are going on a Disney cruise, instead of staying near the port, if you want to get a rental car, you can stay at Disney Vero Beach. It's about an hour drive.
Well, that's not a bad. I don't know. You would almost need a rental because an Uber from Vero to Canaveral would probably be expensive. Because it is about an hour drive. So it's not, if you have your own car, it's not a bad drive, and going to the port is fine because checkout at the hotel is like 11. So even if you left at checkout, you're still going to get to the port at noon. And
they don't start boarding until 11 a.m. anyway.
right. So you're certainly not disadvantaging yourself.
Right.
So, and it's a good, it would actually be a really good way to just kind of dip your toes into the Disney magic before you get onto a Disney cruise ship.
And sometimes the resort fees to stay at Disney Vero Beach are equivocal to staying at a hotel in Canaveral.
Oh, sure. You just have to look and see what the prices are and what your budget is. Vero will be a more expensive hotel because around the port, there's literally, you can find a hotel for pretty much any budget, from places that you see in crime TV shows to, places that you look at and you go, why would somebody spend that? But, people do. So,
right. But it's definitely an option before a cruise, before or after a Disney trip. If you're ever in the area, if you have a chance to check it out, it's definitely worth visiting. Wind and Waves, most definitely worth visiting.
Sure.
But why don't we talk about Toy Story Land? Because we were talking about Toy Story Land to the manager.
Yep.
We also went there not too long ago.
Yep.
We did not make it opening weekend.
No.
By design. As much as we love Disney, we don't love crowds.
No, we don't. And we try to avoid, some spots we'll try to go to in some way, but we'll generally avoid openings or, because we were at the 35th for Epcot.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
But we didn't show up till like 2:00 in the afternoon. So, and we'd already either decided we didn't want merchandise or had already bought it because some of it showed up early elsewhere.
Well, online, it showed up on the app.
Yeah. So we decided we didn't need to go there and get in line. Because even when we showed up at 2:00, there was still a line halfway out the park.
Well, they had some of the limited edition merchandise for that event were in special merchandising locations.
Right.
So, and those had extremely long lines. Whereas at Now Skiers, for example, you could get some 35th merchandise, but that wasn't the I was there October 1st merchandise. That was just the, this is the year of the 35th merchandise.
Right.
So yes, that's exactly the one that I was thinking of. We were at that event, but not for Rope Drop.
Right.
So Toy Story Land, we did watch the video that Disney Parks Live produced a video, and we watched it.
Yeah, the official opening with
Tim
Allen. And
So we still got to see everything, and through the various Disney related groups that I'm in and Facebook, and almost the majority of people that I follow on Instagram have some Disney relation. It's Marvel, it's Star Wars, it's Pixar, or it's Disney.
Right.
Different types of accounts. Some of them are crafting, some of them are park related, some of them are photo related. So I was able to find out a lot about Toy Story Land prior to going there. But that was a 2-night trip that we took. And as we got up there and we got something to eat, and then we went to Toy Story Land. So we did get there in the evening. Well,
we lucked out because as we were driving up, we looked at the park hours and saw that it was extra magic hours that night. So we decided we'll go to the hotel, we'll check in, we'll drop our bags off.
Extra magic hours, if you're not familiar, if you're staying on Disney property, every day, one park will have extra magic hours in the morning.
And it's not every day, but
yeah. I apologize. Almost every day, one park will have extra magic hours in the morning, and one park will have extra magic hours in the evening. It seems like every day they have it at one park or another.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's not, and it also cycles. So like one day it might be one park in the morning, 2 days later it's one park in the evening. It kind of varies. And then obviously with Toy Story opening, I think they've been automatically opening early every day for an hour. They may have stopped that already, and they did the same with the Avatar Land Pandora, where they basically did extra magic hours in the evening for like a month.
Well, they want to make sure, one of their main concerns is that people are coming and staying with them because they want to go see these new lands or these new areas or these new whatever.
Sure.
They want to make sure that they give these people an opportunity to see them. So yeah, the park was open until like midnight that night, so we didn't feel rushed, by not getting to the park until 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever time it was that we got there, because we still had plenty of time to explore. And you know, we do enjoy Hollywood Studios. We like going to Launch Bay. We like going down Hollywood Boulevard and doing the shopping, and Sunset Boulevard and doing the shopping, because Hollywood Studios is their smallest park. So it's easy for us to just go in there, stroll around a little bit, and head back out. So we did go in. We did browse a little bit for shopping, but we basically spent the majority of time that evening in Toy Story Land. And as soon as we walked in, I mean, they have everything lit up so vibrantly, and it really does look like you are a toy.
Yeah.
The forced perspective, you know, they had everything. And there is a photo opportunity with the PhotoPass photographer, the Woody, the Toy Story Land sign.
Right.
Which is really nice that it's so convenient and so close to the front.
Sure.
So that was a pleasant surprise. And the line for that wasn't long at all. We basically just had one or two parties in front of us.
Well, they did have 2 photographers there.
Correct.
And they had it laid out pretty smart. So 2 people could be taking pictures at the same time without being in each other's pictures.
Right.
And then, while still getting the same picture with Woody. So whatever line was there it was moving really fast because, you know, for the most part, generally PhotoPass is usually, you know, stand there, click, 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 you're done, you walk off, and the next person comes in. So
right. But after the PhotoPass area, basically the Slinky Dog ride is right there.
Yep.
And I didn't even notice where the entrance was for that ride, but you could see the ride. You could see the highest drop.
Well, right. If you watched the opening, the one with Tim Allen, that was literally, that's as you were walking in and where you saw Woody, where we did the PhotoPass, that's where they set up that little stage. So yeah, you walk in, you see Woody there, and you see the Slinky Dog roller coaster, or part of the Slinky Dog, because the roller coaster actually looks pretty good as it basically meanders all the way around Toy Story Land.
Right.
So.
And no, it's really cute because we stood there and we watched it for a little bit. We took a few pictures, and Slinky Dog talks.
Yeah.
There's a little commentary coming from him, which was really, really kind of cute to watch.
Right.
And then on the left was Midway Mania, which is a ride that has been in Hollywood Studios for quite some time now.
Right.
But with the addition of Toy Story Land, they closed Midway Mania for a renovation prior to the opening, and they added another track. Is that what you would call it, a track?
That's what they say. They added another set of, you know, as you're riding around, there's whatever, 2 or there's 3 sets, so they added, I think, 1 or 2 more.
So that you get more people on because it's very popular.
You get more people on, and as you're riding it, it's longer as well.
Right.
So
I mean, as long as Midway has been there, even recently until the opening of Toy Story Land, it was not uncommon, double negative, not uncommon to see an 80 or 90 minute wait for Midway Mania.
It's a very popular ride.
With the addition of the track and with the addition of 2 more rides, now it seems like the wait time hovered around 30 to 40 minutes, I want to say. And fast passes were still available for that particular ride, which was nice. You're looking up to see how long the wait is right now.
Yeah, at this very moment.
Which is in the evening on a weekday.
Yeah, well, it's middle of the week.
But it's still summer.
It is summer, and Hollywood Studios will be open for another couple hours. So Toy Story Midway Mania is a 35-minute wait. Slinky Dog is a 65-minute wait. And the Alien Swirling Saucers is a 25-minute wait.
That seems about the same as when we were there.
Give or take. I think Slinky Dog was just a hair longer. I think it was more in the 80-90 minute range when we were there, but
possibly.
But it's also, it was a little later.
Right. We've been on Midway Mania before. We have not yet been on Slinky Dog, even though it is a child's or kids roller coaster.
Right. I
am not a fan of drops. And I saw the drop. It's not a huge drop, but it's big for me. So I'll go on the ride. I'll definitely try it out. I don't know how often I will go on it because Andrew could tell you of the pictures he has of me on Snow White, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Well, you remind me of that episode in How I Met Your Mother where Barney can never take a bad photo. But it seems like every time we take a photo with you on Mine Train, you have this terrified look of absolute abject fear on your face.
I always anticipate there to be a drop.
Well,
and there isn't any. That's the ironic thing. There's no drop on that ride. It looks like you're going to have a drop, but there is no drop.
Well, it's very mild. It's like any other Disney roller coaster. There's basically nothing.
Right. So Slinky Dog, though, there's a drop. I mean, you could see it from watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes up and then comes down, but it's not like, when you're looking at the Everest ride, as it comes out of the mountain, it goes down quickly. The Slinky Dog one was much more mild. So, when you're on it, it probably wouldn't be that bad. And then there's the little tricks, like if you don't like drops in a roller coaster, not necessarily sit at the very front because not everybody wants to see what's going on. You could looking at the back of somebody's head makes it a little easier. So, but if you sit in that first 2 cars, 3 cars, by the time you're already 3/4 of the way down the hill by the time the whole train has released itself. So you don't actually feel the drop.
Right.
It's very mild. And that's why I always like riding in the back of the car because everybody, that the weight of the car will pull you that little bit extra as you're going down.
I reiterate, I will try Slinky Dog.
Yeah.
I can't promise how often I will ride it. Who knows? Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe it won't be so bad. But we did get a chance to go on the Alien Swirling Saucers.
Yep.
The wait was about 30 minutes.
Around.
I jinxed us. And I said, yeah, I read online that the Swirling Saucers keeps on breaking down.
Right.
And it did.
It did.
But it did get right back up. We were standing in line.
Well, we should clarify that there's 2 separate well, it's not even tracks, but they operate side by side. It's almost like Dumbo. It's the same ride side by side. And the people that are getting in line are going to go on either one of them. So there's no difference between them. It's basically 2 separate rides right next to each other. Only one side broke down, so it kept the line moving
just at a slower pace than it had been.
Right.
So,
but like most of the time, when you see the time on a ride at Disney, most of the time they're overestimating. They try to give themselves like a 5-minute. Well, I shouldn't say give a specific minute. They try to give themselves a little bit of a buffer, just in case.
Right.
They want to make it so if it says 30 minutes and you get on a 20, you're going to be like, oh my God, it wasn't even 30 minutes. How great is that? And then it also gives them a buffer just in case of somebody needs help getting on or off or,
right.
All the little things that can happen. So.
And this sits at 30 minutes. And I said to you, we don't have any other plans. Let's go wait for it. And you said, sounds good. So we did wait for it. And even with the one side not working at 100%, it still only took us about 30 minutes total to get on there. And it was really, it was an enjoyable ride. I would compare it to the teacup ride.
It's similar.
You don't have the control like you do on the teacups, because on the teacups you have the option of spinning the center wheel.
Well, yeah, and then on the teacups you're kind of fixed. The whole platform spins, and then there's little sections that spin, and then your teacup spins. In here, each car-ish, I guess you can call it, is on a
alien saucer.
Yeah, but it's you basically sit in, it's 2 or 3 people wide, and you sit down and hang on. But they go in a figure 8 kind of figure motion on a track, and then you swing side to side.
Right. They're intended for 2 average size adults and 1 child.
Right. Or
one adult, 1 child. You and I are above average size.
Sure.
But we did still fit comfortably.
Yeah.
Inside, we weren't like squished or anything.
Right.
It was nice that we didn't have any issues with that particular ride, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a nice ride.
So definitely recommend checking out Toy Story Land. If you are at Hollywood Studios, you should go see what they have to offer. And I would also recommend, and I believe Andrew would say the same thing, check it out at night.
Yep.
Check it out during the day.
Of course.
Because at both times, you can get a different perspective. You can get the different colors under the fluorescent lights versus in the sunlight.
Right.
And there's a lot of great detailing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a little bit more to talk about Toy Story Land. First of all, at the food service,
right.
I liked how the signage said adult drinks.
Yep.
Or mommy and daddy drinks or something. That was really cute. But the other thing that we forgot to mention, there's no store.
No.
Which was a little bit unusual to see that, because typically you go on a ride at Walt Disney World, and when you're exiting the ride, you exit through a store.
Right.
And there are no stores inside of Toy Story Land.
No.
We believe it's probably due to the space limitation.
Yeah,
that park is not too big.
It's not a very big area, so.
You could still shop in Toy Story Land. They did have at least 2 kiosks.
Yeah, I think there were 2 or 3 kiosks.
But no stores. So actually, at least right now, when we were there used to be a candy store towards the park, and they have reimagined that as a Pixar store.
Right.
So who knows over the next few months what they may or may not do, especially with Star Wars Land opening in 2019.
Right.
They might, move some things around again.
And that'll be a lot bigger area, so they might move some of those some of the item areas that are dedicated to Star Wars now might move or at least change around a bit.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. But Toy Story Land does not have any dedicated stores in the area. Not a problem. You can get plenty of Toy Story merchandise, Pixar merchandise in the park.
Sure.
Just not necessarily all of it in that area. Right. The next subject for this podcast is Infinity War, or as Andrew calls it, Avengers 3.
Well, it is the third Avengers movie.
It's not called Avengers 3. It's called Avengers Infinity War. Now, we will do our best not to give any major spoilers. However, that's the disclaimer. If you have not seen the movie and you don't want to have any spoilers, then thank you for listening. It was great. Subscribe.
Exactly.
You'll hear us again soon. So, but again, this is the disclaimer. We are going to talk about Avengers Infinity War. If you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled.
Basically, we won't give away any major spoilers, but it's kind of hard to talk about it without saying something about it.
Right. So let's get into our discussion of Avengers Infinity War.
Sure.
Now, I have the memory of a mouse. Small brain, small memory.
I will not comment on your memory.
It might have something to do with my lack of paying attention, but either way, I digress. I do not always remember everything that happens in the movies, even though I truly enjoy watching them. So prior to watching Infinity War,
yep,
we did watch all of the other Avengers Marvel movies.
Well, we watched all of the movies that ended up in a theater. So we skipped the TV shows and the Netflix series, which we've basically seen them all, but we just didn't. And we watched them in chronological order, not in the order of release.
Well, we watched the theatrical movies, not necessarily, just like Star Wars has Star Wars Rebels and the other.
Right. And the Clone Wars.
Exactly. So same thing. We were watching the theatrical releases of movies related to Infinity War. And as you just said, it was the chronological order, not the order of release.
Right. So we start with the very first Captain America movie. Which,
of course, wasn't released until well after, because wasn't the first release actually Iron Man? Am I correct in that?
Yeah. First one was Iron Man, and then The Incredible Hulk, and then Iron Man 2, and then...
But The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton.
Right.
Who has since been replaced by Mark Ruffalo.
Right.
So in order to better prepare ourselves to see Infinity War, we did watch all the other movies.
Right.
You don't have to do that.
No, you certainly don't. I mean, the movies stand by themselves fairly well. Even if you've never seen an Avengers movie, it would probably still be quite enjoyable, just in general. And if you haven't recently watched all the other ones, you have a good idea of the major plot points of all of them. Like if you hadn't seen Iron Man for a couple of years or a few years or 10 years.
Right, because it was 10 years ago.
Right. You'll still enjoy it because you remember that, why Iron Man is Iron Man.
Right. So it was nice though having that refresher course per se.
Well, the fun part for me was all the little Easter egg stuff that you would have never ever picked up on just watching them. Like if you saw them as they came out in the theater and maybe you watched it again when it came out on DVD or digital or whatever, you would have never noticed all these little tidbits that they throw in there
into the
Infinity
movies. War.
Well, no, in general, in all of the Marvel movies.
Oh, you mean by rewatching it, you were able to, because you already knew what was going to happen and you were watching it for a second or third time, you were able to notice the idiosyncrasies that they included. Right.
And and they're Easter eggs. They don't really add much they don't add anything story-wise. They add things, enjoyment-wise, because they talk about Captain America's shield in like 3 or 4 different movies, but you never pick up on it.
Right.
Otherwise.
Well, the beginning of Infinity War is basically where the last Thor movie ended.
Correct.
Maybe it was a few weeks later, a few months later, but for argument's sake, it was the continuation of the Thor movie. That was the beginning of Infinity War. So if you have the opportunity to rewatch the Thor movie, if it's not fresh, top of mind, then yeah, you can it's definitely worthwhile to rewatch the Thor movie prior to watching Infinity War. Or just remind yourself of what happened in the Thor movie. Right. Why they were where they were, why they were doing what they were doing, etc. and whatnot.
Well, there's a couple of things in there that are going to be important for, that's one of the reasons why I watched all the movies is because of, but the last few movies, like, watching Black Panther was important. But there's a couple of things in the Thor movie that were very important to the plot lines of Avengers. And Doctor Strange, not integral to have seen that movie. I mean, none of the movies, as you said earlier, none of them were integral to have seen. But Doctor Strange, it really gives you a glimpse into his personality. Well, I saw a good description of, if you're not crazy like us and want to watch, because it took us 3 or 4 weeks to go through them all. And we watched, there was nothing on, a lot. There was nothing on the regular TV. So it was like every night, or on the weekends, watch 1 or 2 each weekend night and then 1 or 2 during the week. I mean, we watched a lot. What was it? 18 total movies? Something like that. Yeah. But I saw a good way. And I probably agree with it. As if you wanted to be semi crazy, watch any movie that had an Infinity Stone in it. So, which does include Doctor Strange. Well, there's 5 Infinity Stones, correct? Right. So yeah. So it's Doctor Strange. That's 5 movies leading up to. It's the first Guardians. It's the first Captain America. So there's a few movies. You can find a list online. They have them all listed. That would be the minimum, because then you'll really you'll understand just that much more what each of those stones mean. Right. And I enjoyed the movie probably more the second time than the first time. Sure. The first time we did see it on a cruise. And on the Disney cruises, they do show Disney movies, and they are included in the price of the cruise. Yep. So unfortunately, that means that some people don't give it the respect that it deserves, and they just walk into the theater because they have nothing better to do. And they forget that there are people that have been investing their time watching the movie from the beginning. Right. And they're talking and being disruptive, not necessarily on purpose, but still it's a little bit frustrating. Sure. So that was what happened the first time we watched it, whereas it recently came out digitally, and we were able to watch it in our living room without those interruptions. Sure. So that made it that much more enjoyable. But overall, I thought it was really a great culmination of all of the Marvel movies and the Marvel characters. Oh yeah, it's amazing that they get that much star power together. Right. Well, and make that work. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but nothing integral, really affecting anything.
all of the Marvel characters basically were in it except for Ant-Man and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Ant-Man and the Wasp has come out, but we have not seen it yet.
Right.
And so I believe, based on hearsay, that it kind of glazes over the reason that he wasn't in that movie. I think they touch on it.
The thing I saw was it was something, they make a comment about it in the end credit scene of the new Ant-Man movie.
Well, in the end credits, it says Ant-Man and the Wasp will return. But I'm talking about, I have a feeling in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I'm saying this guessing because we haven't seen it yet, but I believe that they touch on why he wasn't involved in the Infinity War movie. But if you do like Marvel movies, they are Disney.
Sure.
Which, I mean, we love Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar more so than classic characters or classic animation, you know.
Well, there's a mix. I mean, some of the classic animation is, I can appreciate it for what it is, but it wasn't, you know, it was made for the time period that it was made in, and it's not the same as, and some of them are still good though, but I mean.
Well, it's funny because, for example, Little Mermaid, they consider classic Disney. And it's a cute movie. I liked it, but it's not one of my favorites, you know, but I'm just pointing that out, that they consider Little Mermaid a classic movie. But yeah, I mean, I love Tangled. I love Frozen. I love Wreck-It Ralph. Well, Wreck-It Ralph is Pixar, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
It is Disney.
Oh, okay. So my summary was correct.
Big Hero 6 is Disney.
No, Big Hero 6 is a Marvel character, though.
It is a Marvel character, but it's done by Disney Animation, not by Pixar.
Well, yeah. So, and I enjoy those newer movies that don't fall under Pixar or Star Wars, but Big Hero 6 falls under Marvel, in my opinion. Even though it's animated, it's still Marvel characters.
Well,
Andrew and I are going to fight about this later. Either way.
I like Deadpool, too, so.
Well, yeah. That is Disney because it's Marvel, not exactly, you know, Disney friendly, so they kind of disassociate themselves from that. But yes, that was.
Well, it's a Fox movie, which actually, since Disney is trying to buy Fox, they might soon be Disney. So
that'll be quite amusing. But we did enjoy.
Little Mermaid is 1989.
I know, but that's considered classic.
Well, it is a classic if it's that old.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes it almost 30 years, right? No, but even 5 years ago, they consider, you know, that's the classic anime. There's a name for that period,
right?
You know, and Mulan, I think, just celebrated its 25th anniversary,
give or take.
And that's another one, a cute movie. Saw it, but not my cup of tea, not your cup of tea,
right? Well, some of the Mickey Mouse cartoons were good. Some of the shorter ones, not the movies. Some of the movies I didn't really get into, but
right. But the newer stuff tends to be more what we appreciate, more what we enjoy.
Right.
Not all Disney movies. I mean, there was the live action Big Friendly Giant movie. That was a Disney movie, and we never even saw that one. I would see it if it was on cable, but it's not something that appeals to our tastes. I am sure it's a really cute movie, but just not something that looked appealing to us. You know, like I said, we're drawn more towards the Star Wars and the Marvel and the Pixar, and that's probably why we enjoyed Infinity War as much as we did.
Sure.
Some people believe the ending might be a little controversial. Some people might believe that, you know, what's going to happen next with the way they ended that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a movie, and, you know, you should just enjoy it for what it is and not think too hard. Because if you start thinking about any movie, they're all going to fall apart. I mean, you could spend 5 seconds with Star Wars and I can ruin it for the rest of your life, but that's not the point. It's not supposed to be that kind of movie, right? No, and then, you know, I mean, Infinity War is, yeah, great. They did this at the end of the movie, but... Well,
I guess we're going to find out when the next movie comes out.
Yep.
The next related movie in the storyline.
Avengers 4.
Yeah, no. None of them are called that.
Well, right now that one's called that.
Well, because they haven't given an official name.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, does it have an official name?
In our show notes, Andrew had written Avengers 3. And I wrote him back and I said, Did we see Avengers 3? What is Avengers 3? Is that Infinity War? Yeah, it was Infinity War. Nobody calls it Avengers 3. It's Avengers Infinity War. I will school Andrew yet. Did you see if they came up with a name for it?
The untitled Avengers film, colloquially referred to as Avengers 4.
Currently referred to as Avengers 4, but that will not be what it is known as once they give it an official name.
I suppose.
Infinity War Part 2.
Then I don't ever want to hear you call it Star Wars A New Hope.
Why don't you want me to call Star Wars A New Hope?
Well, because we're talking about official names and non-official names and first names and names given later.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I do that only so that you know which Star Wars I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
Because
Star Wars 3.
On that note, we've gotten just obnoxious enough that I think it's time to close the show.
Yeah, probably.
Alrighty then. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, follow us. Social media, follow us. We already told you we don't want to be followed at home.
No.
No stalkers, please.
If you see us, you don't need to follow us. You can just say hi.
Yeah, say hi. We are friendly. We just don't want stalkers.
Correct.
But we do want followers on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, 2 Grown-Ups and a Mouse. Or go to our website.
2grownupsandamouse.com.
That's it. On that note, I think it's time to say goodnight.
Or good morning.
Or good afternoon.
How about goodbye?
Goodbye sounds like a good plan.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.